All right. Take it away, Teresa.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hopefully your week was a good week. Welcome back to the second part, or I should say, second session of the literacy enrichment series. Today, as you see in front of you, we are going to play today. Today is going to be time to play. Um, Kind of going over the objectives just right off because I have them on this screen. So just kind of when we're playing, keep in mind there's that reading, vocabulary, and grammar. And then we go to the next rung, there's comprehension and writing, as well as there's going to be hands-on activities, which equals success. So just a little bit of housekeeping, and Crystal mentioned this before, just kind of touch bases on this. As like I said, throughout this series, going to encourage participation. One of the ways that we do that is just if you would have your camera on, that would be nice. If utilize that chat box, and we're going to be doing a lot of discussions. Moving to the next one, if you would add your name, it just kind of makes it a little bit, gives a little bit more of a personal touch, and it makes it easier to interact. That way, people have your name to the voice to the face. And as I said before, if you want to connect with others or you have any questions or comments, make sure that you utilize that chat box. And then again, if you need to step away from any time, just feel free to mute yourself. If this is during the time where you are taking a lunch, that is fine. I understand that. Just turn off your camera so that, of course, people are not watching you eat your lovely lunch because we may want some. You may have to share. So moving forward on our agenda today, we're going to get into some applied instruction. Okay, just using some best practices. I have some nice activities lined up for you. And hopefully you were able to get the email that I sent out and be able to have the materials that will require you to participate today. And then there's going to be a couple activities that we're going to get into, and that's going to lead us into a breakout session. So today you'll be put into groups and you'll have some discussion, and you'll be able to come up with a couple of activities of your own as for today when you leave. All right, moving on here. So last week, one of the parts of our four corners, the activity that we did, the four corners, one of the statements in there was literacy enrichment is. As I was listening and kind of jotting down some notes, I was trying to capture what people were saying, trying to capture the common theme that was going on in those discussions. So, literacy enrichment is providing complementary learning opportunities, developing in or enhancing basic skills. Okay. This would be, I'm sorry about that. I have technical difficulties on this side. Developing and enhancing basic literacy skills. So, per se, filling in the gaps, like at the very basic level, as well as maybe taking it a level or two up, going above and beyond the traditional methods of literacy, basically stepping outside the box. Okay. Um, Being open to new ideas, new methods, new strategies, getting kind of away from that, just having kids pick out a book, go to a corner or to a spot and then read. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong at all. Just wanting you to think in a different way. I'm engaging youth in ways that will foster lifelong learning. So, helping kids to reach their full potential in reading, writing, and understanding. Providing those activities or those opportunities where kids are able to do that outside of beyond your program. Some of you, some kids graduate from your program when they hit the eighth grade. Some of you may even have kids that go all the way up until they are seniors in high school. But we want them to go beyond your program, beyond their years of high school. And then the last one, I had to put Paulo Freire, his his quote just speaks volumes about literacy. Literacy is active. Like he said, its power lies not in the perceived ability to read and write, but rather in an individual's capacity to put those skills to work, which goes up to the one prior to that, which also helps them foster lifelong learning, because this is going to be things that they're going to do beyond our program, beyond high school, and shaping the course of his or their own life. So looking at what literacy enrichment is, any thoughts? I know I'm kind of asking right off, but any thoughts or comments? Anybody want to jump in? You can, if you feel free to use that chat box. Oh, hold on. Technical difficulties again. Any thoughts on that or comments?
So Teresa, I'm sorry, those boxes are back on your screen, so I'll let you clear those up. Again, feel free to use the chat if you have anything that strikes you during this part of the discussion. I also want to casually mention to everyone that, again, if you look in the chat, I did drop the literacy workbook that Teresa had emailed out into there, and there is a section for today's session on it. So you might want to grab that and download that real quick if you're unable to find the email that she sent. But again, feel free to use the chat. You can also unmute yourself and respond to that way.
Exactly. All right. Well, without further ado, we'll just continue through. So the first activity I want to talk about is, if you remember last week, we had an activity where kids were writing a story. That was actually the first part of that activity. That activity, the sole purpose really was to get kids to look at some pictures, get the information in their head, get a story in their head, and then communicate that on paper. So now we're going to kind of take that to, we're going to go to the second part of that. So let's say you've done this activity a couple of times. Let's say we're on the 5th time of doing this activity. So now would be the time that I would introduce vocabulary. I call these vocabulary builders. And in this particular activity, we were going to introduce parts of a story. So there's character, setting, plot, conflict, and resolution. And you can do this a number of ways. You can either do it all at once, introducing these words, or you can do them in different times. You could do the activities you could do as a word wall, where you have the word, the definition, a sentence, and then you provide an example, okay? And you can have the kids do this. This is not something that staff has to do. You can do this on poster board. You could do this on the whiteboard if you have whiteboard. Whatever you are able to do, whatever accommodates your space that you have. There's also word webs that you can do. And if you see this picture here on right here, this is what would be a word web. So it's really taking that word and then dissecting it a little bit more. Okay, so you could take the word characters, you could talk about main character, you could talk about description of character, and then you'll take that main character and then you would go out a little bit more. So you could do word webs. You can also do graphic organizers. Okay. And there's so many of them on Google. I mean, if you Google graphic organizers, and actually I would probably put vocabulary graphic organizers just to be specific, you'll come up with a lot. You'll come up with just a whole slew of them. I know some programs do the pay teachers. It's pay something teachers. They subscribe to that and they have a lot of things on that web page as well. But yeah, you'll just come have a lot. And then there's, of course, once you do this vocabulary builder, again, not something that you have to do every single time that you do the activity. You could take it one word and focus on that word. You can introduce all 4 words. That's up to you. The last thing I want to say is be creative. Your staff, allow for your staff or the staff to be creative. You know, it doesn't have to be what's here, it doesn't have to be the word wall, the word web, or any graphic organizers. Just be creative on how you want to introduce those words and how you deliver those words. And then, of course, you have the applied learning. And with the applied learning, it's now that we have these words, now we've discussed these words, let's apply it to what you're doing in the classroom. Okay. So let's say that we've done this writing a story activity where we've done it 12 times. So the 12th time, I may have them actually identify the parts in their story. So I may have them identify their characters, the setting. I may have them, today we may focus just on the conflict and resolutions of their story. Okay. And then going to the next bullet, making a connection to their world. Connecting these words, connecting this vocabulary to their word, to their world. Folks, there's a lot of activities that you can do. If you sitting down and kind of thinking about the activities, there's so many activities that can come from just making this connection to their world. And what I mean by connection to their world is we know that kids watch movies, TV shows, cartoons, they read books, and bringing that into the classroom and saying, okay, well, this book that you're reading, there's characters in that book. There's a setting, there's a plot, as well as there's a conflict and resolution. The TV shows, some of these kids are into those reality TV shows. And having a discussion about the TV shows that they're watching. Another activity that you can do, and actually I just thought about this one. How many of you remember the 2 guys, Cisco and Ebert, where they were movie critics? Yeah. So now that we know what characters are, we know, like I said, we know our vocabulary. Now we can become movie critics, and we can watch a movie. We can do TV shows. And it doesn't have to be the full movie, folks. You could do a clip, because I know some people try to stay away from showing movies in their programs. You can even do a book. Now we're going to critique this in using that vocabulary that we have. All right. And then the last piece of this, writing a story. Sometimes when we do activities, and I'm just going to say this, the programs that I had worked in the past, sometimes they felt that the activity that they were doing was not a benefit, or they didn't see the benefit. But this actual activity, having kids write a story, there's a benefit to it. It benefits not just the kids, but also the program itself. You can use this as an informal assessment. And I'm going to stress the word informal, okay? The information that you get from this type of assessment would not be something that you're going to put in a report, okay? Not a report that you would give to your funders, not a report that you would give to your community partners or the community at all. This is just a quick feedback or quick assessment that you can do for your staff to help the program move forward. If you want a formal assessment, then we would need to sit down and come up and have that conversation. Crystal, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt, but I did want to throw out to everyone, if you remember, your local evaluation document does ask for anecdotal evidence in parts of that narrative. So while Teresa is completely true, this is not a formal assessment or measurement, it could provide some of that great student interaction data or quotes that you can include in as anecdotal evidence in your local evaluation. So just keep that on the back of your mind as you're doing these things.
Thank you, Crystal. So how can this help in doing this activity? It helps you to, your staff, or it helps staff to gauge kids' level of writing. And what I mean by level of writing, just simply saying, are kids able to take their thought process and put it down on paper? Are kids able to put sentences together? Are kids able to, and then jump into the next word, spelling? It will also help you with spelling. Are kids, what words do kids struggle with? I know a lot of people struggle with those 3 words, there, and there. A lot of people struggle with those words. What are the common words that are being asked to be spelled? And then it also helps you gauge communication. And that can go in from the process from them writing the story, from them formulating that story in their head and getting it down on paper. And then also the communication piece, if you were to share this out to the class, how does that work with that process as well? And then as you're doing this writing activity, you should see improvements in their writing structure. So going back up to that level of writing, their writing structure, they're doing capital letters, they're formulating their sentences, they're adding detail to their writing. You may have a kid that says, we ate pizza, but now that kid is saying, we ate pepperoni pizza with jalapenos from Domino's. Okay. You may have a student who says, yeah, the cat ran down the street, but now they're saying the cat ran down the New York street or the street with, they're just adding more description and detail. Spelling is starting to improve. They're not asking you for a lot of words because they're able to either spell the words or they're using those strategies that they learn in school, like sounding out words, chunking words together, stuff like that. And then confidence in their writing. And when I say confidence in their writing, it's really saying, now I have this, I feel good about myself, or I feel good about my writing, that now you're asking me to do this, I can get down and do it. It's not taking me 8 minutes to start to write. It's taken me about 2 minutes because of that time to formulate it in my head. And then now I'm writing. Confidence in writing. They may be helping other people with writing, and how do you manage that? So you will see an overall improvement in doing this actual activity. I want to pause for a moment because I kind of want to gauge where people are at with this information. Kind of getting what people's thoughts are and how can you apply this to your programming. Any thoughts, comments?
I think definitely relating it to movies helps, just because a lot of these kids are watching movies or TV shows. And so just having them relate to another thing definitely would help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Tyler, for it's Teachers Pay Teachers. Thank you, is that resource. Thank you, Michael. Mm-hmm. And I do want to add, back to the vocabulary, those are just the 4 parts of a story, but there's other, we all know, we can get into, the main idea and so forth and so on. And, we can add things, what we want to. I just put those in there because it's actual 4 parts of a story. And I don't want to say this, Casey or Cassie. Hopefully I said your name right. Yeah, but the more ideas for our students, the better. And making sure our activities are relatable and relevant is important in keeping our kids engaged. Yes, yes. Yep. Any other thoughts, comments? Yes, Shelby, using Kahoot and other fun online quiz platforms, yes. And I'm glad it can be an informal assessment, and I'm glad you said that because I actually have something for everyone towards the end of this presentation. And it's actually, we're not gonna do Kahoot, but there's another program, there's another thing out there as well that you can use. But yes, thank you. All right. All right, we're gonna keep moving on. Okay. So the next activity that we're gonna do is it's a read aloud. Some of you probably already read this book, know this book, The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats. Just to kind of give you a little backstory of how this activity came about, I also have other activities that I've put together. I was working with programs and had a program that daily schedule that we have to do literacy. And we need something that's going to fit within that 30 minutes. And then I had another program that says, okay, well, we don't have a time restraint on our literacy. We could do whatever we need to do, but we also need to have something that's going to be interactive with our kids. Just not sitting reading a book, but we want to add some more, hands-on activities. So I put some activities together, and you'll see as we go through how this works. Also, the way that I have this set up is that you can actually do this as an online or virtual activity. So you can either do it live or you can pre-record it, put it on your web page, and you'll see too as we go along how it's set up as a virtual activity. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do is that I'm not going to read, but show you a YouTube video, somebody reading, and then we'll come back and do some comprehension questions, and then we'll get into a couple of the connection activities.
The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats, an animated story.
Teresa,
Yes.
are unable. Is it just audio? Because we're not able to see a screen right
One
now.
winter morning, Peter woke up and looked out the window. Snow had fallen during the night. It covered everything in
Okay.
I think what you need to do, Teresa, is if you go to the top of your screen, it should be viewing options and new share, and then you should be able to show your YouTube from there. Now we can see it, yes. Can everybody else confirm that? Give me a thumbs up.
Everybody got it? Okay.
Thank you.
I'm learning as I go. Thank you. Learning as I go.
far as he could see. After breakfast, he put on a snowsuit and ran outside. The snow was piled up very high along the street to make a path for walking. Crunch, crunch, crunch. His feet sank into the snow. He walked with his toes pointing out like this. He walked with his toes pointing in like that. Then he dragged his feet slowly to make tracks. He found something sticking out of the snow that made a new track. It was a stick that was just right for smacking the snow-covered tree. Down fell the snow, plop, on top of Peter's head. He thought it would be fun to join the big boys in their snowball fight, but he knew he wasn't old enough. Not yet. So he made a smiling snowman and he made angels. He pretended he was a mountain climber. He climbed up great, big, tall, heaping mountain of snow and slid all the way down. He picked up a handful of snow and another and still another and packed it round and firm and put the snowball in his pocket for tomorrow. Then he went into his warm house. He told his mother all about his adventures while she took off his wet socks. And he thought and thought and thought about them. Before he got into bed, he looked in his pocket. His pocket was empty. The snowball wasn't there. He felt very sad. While he slept, he dreamed that the sun had melted all the snow away. But when he woke up, his dream was gone. The snow was still everywhere. New snow was falling. After breakfast, he called to his friend from across the hall. And they went out together in the deep, deep snow.
So hopefully you enjoyed the story. I usually use YouTube to do the stories, but you can also go to storyonline.com and you have famous people who actually read the stories as well, or you can just simply read the story yourself. So the comprehension questions that I have is, so who is the main character of the story? And what is his name? If you can put that in the chat box. So if I'm talking to my younger kiddos, I would say, you know, who is the main person of the story and what was his name? Okay. If I'm talking to the older kids, I would go a little bit further and I would say, so how old do you think that he is in the story? And what are the clues that led you to your answer? Okay, back up your answer. This actual activity is K through 5. So if I was talking to 4th and 5th graders, I would be like, what, you know, and I would probably ask another follow-up question. How old do you think his friend is? Okay.
Teresa, do you want people to respond to these questions in the chat box, or is this just thinking?
This is just thinking.
Okay.
If they want to
Well, I'm
respond,
sorry,
they can. Oh, no. This
I
is
had a
just thinking.
sneezing fit and I thought I missed something, so I apologize for that. So,
Just thinking, just thinking. Just questions that you can ask. So your comprehension questions are going to be questions that you're going to pull from the story to check for understanding. As I said, when you're working with the, it's going to be tailored to the kids that you're working with. As the kids, 4th and 5th graders, it's going to be more thought-provoking questions, maybe inference questions. They have to infer because in using the story itself. Okay. And then there's a connection activity. And the connection activity, we'll get deeper into this. Actually, I'll help you. I have a session where we're going to actually take some books and we're going to go through a process where you can create your own activity, your own read aloud, just like this. So then there will be connection activities that go along with the story. So I have 2 up here, 2 of the connection activities. On the left-hand side, the connection activity is just having a discussion, and it's going to involve also art as well. So the discussion would be, we would discuss about the activities that Peter did in the book, bringing those out. Staff, you can write them on the board, however you want to do that. And then we would discuss activities that the group would do on a snowy day. You could do a compare and contrast if you want, that's up to you. Just kind of making that connection of, oh, hey, Peter does the same things that we do when it's snowing outside. We go outside and we play in the snow. We make a snowman. We go sledding. A kid could be like, yeah, I don't really get involved in the snow fights because I am a little bit too small for that. I've gotten, and then next thing you know, they're sharing stories, and that's what we want. We want them to start sharing stories. And then the connection piece is, so you would give them a blank sheet of paper and have them draw a picture on one side of what Peter did, and then on the other side, draw a picture of what they would do, their activity that they would engage in. Okay. Or you can just simply say, here's a sheet of paper. I want you to create your own activity that you do on a snowy day. All right. Then the second activity that goes along with this read aloud, it's a sensory play, but you can also tie it into STEM. We're going to make homemade snow. So for those folks who actually have access to the materials that I sent in the email, to do this activity, you're going to need baking soda and conditioner, and it doesn't matter, shampoo, conditioner, it doesn't matter what kind you use. I'm using what I have at home. Finishing up this bottle that I have at home. So, and it, like I said, it doesn't matter. The measurements that I have here are actually half of what is actually required. So if we were to do this with the classroom, it would be a half a cup of conditioner and 3 cups of baking soda. You can also do this activity with shaving cream. So like I said, it's just as simple of using household products to do the activity. I'm hoping that there are people within the audience that were actually able to get access to the materials so that they can do the activity as well. So I'm actually going to do a stop share. Was there by chance anybody in the audience able to get access to those materials? A simple yes would be good. Anybody? To the baking soda and the shampoo? Okay. So I've kind of done a pre-mixture. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take like I said, a fourth a cup of the shampoo, and then you're going to do a cup and a half of the baking soda. Put it together and you're going to mix it. Okay. And you're going to mix it really well. And if you could do it with a spoon, you could do it with your hands. I would actually suggest that you have the kids do it with their hands. It will be a little bit messy, but there's a reaction that I want them to feel. When you're doing this, it'll start feeling cold. It's cold. It comes out as snow. And they're able to make snowballs with it. You can have them make snowman with it. So as you see, I've actually let this stay overnight. It kind of got a little hard there, but as I'm working with it, it's starting to soften up. Looks like snow. Can everybody see that? Looking like snow. You can also talk about, and you can just have fun with it. Just let the kids have fun. Like I said, it's a sensory play. It allows kids to have that feel, the smell, especially if you get shampoo that has a lovely smell to it. And they can make a winter wonderland out of it. You can have them, like I said, the activity is endless. The things that you can do with this is endless. When you are done, you could put this in plastic baggies and allow for kids to take it home. Again, if you're doing this virtual, when you get to this piece, you would just, go through the motions of doing the mixture, putting the ingredients in the bowl, doing the mixture, and going from there. As I said before, it's cold. When you start mixing it together, it makes it cold, so it feels like snow. Any questions in regards to this actual activity? Any thoughts? Nobody at all?
I'm doing it right now, and it is crazy how cold it gets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And actually, like I said, you can tie it into STEM because there's actually a reaction going on between the baking soda and the shampoo. Something to do with the sodium sulfate that's in the shampoo. I'm looking in the chat box. It says it's a very easy activity for kids to do. Yes, it's very easy. Like I said, even the kindergartners would love doing this. We all know that kindergartners love to make messes. It is messy. I will let you know it is messy. So you would have to take those precautions as well. I see Tyler. Tyler, can you do that again, please? Yes, as his hands are messy. And again, you can use shaving cream. So if you were to look this up on Google, there's some that it will involve shaving cream as well if you're not able to do baking soda. But again, they're just household products. This stuff is Dollar Tree. These two things and it makes a lot. So, and that was, like I said, that was just half. The actual ingredients is, the measurements is, like I said, a fourth a cup of conditioner and 3 cups of baking soda. It makes a pretty big bowl. So you'll have to go based on that. Any other things? Questions? quiet group today. Somebody said making oobleck. Not as messy though. Yes, but yes. And if you have kids that like to make slime, oh, they'll love this. They'll love it. It's not slime, but they will love playing around with it. You can even be creative and put glitter. And I know some people are like, Miss Teresa, we don't do glitter in our program because it gets all over it. Tyler, people are like, no glitter. We have a no glitter policy in our.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I literally saw a look of terror pass over Kathy's face when you said that.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure I read some lips there too.
Yeah.
Kathy,
So, yeah.
I'm gonna miss by your house with a huge container of glitter.
Yeah. So then again, tying this back into the story, you're having them make the snowman, you're having them make snowballs. They can make a winter wonderland. If you don't want to do this, another activity that you can do to a physical activity is, like I said, it's a snowy day. We wait for a snowy day and then we go outside and we do those activities. Okay, and then you have kids come back in and either discuss what what was outside, what we did outside, or they can write about it, depending on the grade level that you are working with. Okay. Any questions about this particular activity? Anybody else see another way of doing this activity or introducing this activity? No? Somebody said that the custodians will probably send you a hate mail. Yeah. It's actually pretty easy to clean up. It's like I said, it's way better than slime. You can send back, say, we didn't do slime. We're not using glitter. Okay. Oh, let's see where we are as far as time. You guys are such a quiet group. We may get done with our activity. We may get done with the session early today. I'm actually going to take about a 3-minute break. I'm going to incorporate a 3-minute break in here, let people get up, move around. If you need water, you need to clean up, because I've been playing around, I need to clean up as well, so that we can shift to the last couple of activities that I have. So go ahead and take that 3-minute break, and I will see you back about like 8:21, 8:22. I mean, excuse me, 1:21 or 1:22. I'm trying to get us out of here.
Okay. I had paused the recording, Teresa, but we are recording again, just so you know.
Welcome back from a little break there. Okay. Okay, hopefully you're able to get to a place where you can come back, join us again. We're going to go ahead and move on with the next activity. This activity is, I call it Bananagrams with the twist. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the game Bananagrams. It comes in a container like this, in a package like this, and it's a bunch of ceramic tiles with letters on them. The game itself is actually a nice literacy game to play as well. I got this at Target. I've seen them at Target and at the Learning Post. They run about $15, $16 if this is something that you're interested in purchasing for your kiddos. Okay. And when you open up the actual bag, this is what is inside. Okay. If you're not able to get access to the Bananagrams, you can also do this activity with letter tiles. You can do this activity with the Scrabble pieces. You could do this with the magnetic letters. You may have to have a couple of sets to do that. You can create your own alphabetical letters if you want to, and cut them up and give them to the kids so they can do this actual activity. So with this particular activity, if you're able to participate, that would be wonderful. Go ahead and take your letters out and place them down. I've done this before, but I'm not sure if you probably can see that. Probably not. So then I would take my letters and I would place them face down on the table in the center. And don't worry, folks, I will actually send this out tomorrow. I'm going to send out a follow-up email and you will have the activities that we're doing today. I will send those activities to you so that you are able to have the instructions to do that. For those folks who are trying to write everything down, I'll save you that time. So you're just going to place them down just like you would if you were doing Bananagrams. Each player is going to take their starting tile. So up here, if you have, however many players you have, you can have up to 8 players. For the sake of this activity, we're going to actually just do 11 tiles. So if you're able to participate, if you have the Bananagrams, if you have the letter tiles or whatever alphabet you have in front of you, go ahead and grab 11 of them. Okay. Once the kids get the letters, once they take them from the pile, it's okay if they have them face up. They can turn them face up, right? You need to stress that the words have to be at least 3 letters or more. No it and the, well, and the, they're really not going to do that, but no it and a and on type of thing. And at any time during the game, the player, they could put a letter back. They could put one of the tiles back in the pile face down, but when they do that, they have to take 3 with them. So they could put 1 back, but they have to take 3 in that exchange. Okay. So the first 3 bullets is exactly how Bananagrams is played. Okay, here's the twist. So the twist is that you're going to actually give the group a subject and they have to race to arrange their tiles in the intersecting grid, which is up here. This is an intersecting grid, and be the first one to come up with 10 words using the tiles. I say 12 words for if you have an advanced group of kids. I mean, you can do 15 words. Those are just kind of basic numbers, but they have to come up with 10 words. So I will say that again. So the twist to the game, to this activity, is that they're going to be given a subject, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. And it's going to be a race to arrange their tiles or to come up with 10 words with their tiles. Okay, and they have to do it in an intersecting grid. And the reason is because then that way they're using letters and it doesn't take away the tiles. You have more tiles to available to everyone when you do that. So if you're able to participate and you have your 11 tiles in front of you, the subject is going to be winter. So using the tiles or the bananagrams, you're going to come up with 10 words that deal with winter. If you're not able, if you do not have access to the tiles, I am going to give you a word, and then you're going to come up with 10 words that are in the same subject. So our subject is winter. Here's the word that you're going to use if you don't have the tiles. The word is snow fight. So you're going to write down snow fight. And then you're going to come up with 10 words that relate to winter. Go ahead and go. And if you need me to explain, go ahead and put in the chat box. Oh, I'm sorry. The range, the age group for this particular activity will be 3rd grade on up. Possibly 2nd grade, depending on the level, the spelling level of your 2nd graders. But this activity is actually 3rd grade on up. Anybody at 10 words already? And just so you know, this is not a timed activity. So however long it takes that first person to get to 10 words. Once you made it to your 10 words, if you could give me a high five, give me if you can put your name in the chat box once you get your 10 words. I see that Crystal is using Scrabble tiles. I'm going to ask the question, is it because of the number of letters that were available?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if I completely followed the instructions correctly, but I just did a quick, like, on the table here with me, and that's what I was able to come up with immediately.
Okay. Give you about another minute or two. Again, this is not a timed activity. It's going to be timed due to this session, but normally it would not be a time activity. You just allow the kids to go at it. Okay, go ahead and finish up your last word, the last thought. I'm actually going to stop share. Okay. And I'm just going to ask some questions. These are actually questions that you would not ask your kids. I'm just asking staff. I did this so that you kind of get a feel of how it would be if your kids are doing this activity. How many of you had a hard time just coming up with a couple of words? Okay. Okay. Yep. So if your kids are having a hard time just coming up with words, you can throw out clues to them and help them get started. Once you got started, was it pretty easy to keep going? I see heads nodding. Okay. You'll also find out if you're using the bananagrams, if you're using these or the letter tiles. And that's why I said that it's not timed, that you'll probably constantly see kids putting a tile back and grabbing 3, putting a tile back and grabbing 3. Just being aware that there are certain letters that they'll probably put back would be the Q and the U. Okay. Also knowing frustration level when you're doing this particular activity, because we're not wanting kids to be frustrated while they're doing this. This may be a deterrent for some of your kiddos who have issues with spelling. Okay. You can also do this activity as a partner activity. You can also do this activity as a group activity. Okay. Any questions about this particular activity? Any thoughts about this particular activity? Okay. Oh, I do want to mention that with all the social distancing and the guidelines that we have, one of the things to do, some of you may be kind of concerned about the kids sharing the tiles. If you have a group of kids that are always together, having them maybe wash their hands prior to using the tiles, maybe having them use hand sanitizer prior to using the tiles. And then when you get done using the tiles, putting them in soapy water, except for the Scrabble pieces, because those are wood. But putting the tiles in soapy water and just letting them sit there for a moment and then drying them off. If it comes down to that whole, just kind of having those safety precautions there. And then you're ready to use them for the next group of students that come through. And sorry, I say students. I'm so used to saying students instead of kids. Okay.
Teresa, do you see the
Yes.
comment from Michael?
Oh, no, I did not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Michael would like to know if you would suggest having a race to get the most words or maybe the longest word.
Yes, you can, yep, you can alter this however you want it to be. Again, you know your kiddos better than I do. This is just a basic, so you would definitely, yeah, tweak it however it fits for your program. Mhm. And like I said, 10 and 12 is just a base. If you need to go lower than that, you can go lower than that, folks. If you want to go higher, you can go higher than that. If there's an online Bananagram that allows for them to have random letters, I don't think Bananagrams is on an online game. I'll check that out though. I can look that up and see, do some research and get back with you on that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I said if you do the letter tiles and you do these, when you put them in the pile, when they pick, they don't see the letter, so it is random, and then you go from there. Yeah, pretty cool game. All right. Any questions? Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. All right, the next activity that we are going to do, this activity is for K through second grade. This is a K through second grade activity. You can use it for the older kids. Actually, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to go walk through the activity, and then I'll allow for folks to decipher themselves whether or not they can utilize this for older kids, but you actually can. So with this, I would use the letter tiles, or I would go back to my Bananagrams with this one. And I'm actually going to place them up. So now in the middle of the table, I'm going to have them face up so that the kids are able to see the letters. I will select a word, okay, for the kids to spell out. I will not share the word. So let's say, for example, I have the word cat. I'm not going to share that out with any of the kids, okay? Then I'm actually going to spell out the word. And when I say a letter, the kids will pick that letter from the pile. So again, my word is cat. So I would say C, and then the kids have to find a C in the pile. And then they would also repeat the letter. I would say A, they would find an A and repeat the letter. I would say T, they would find that T and repeat the letter. Okay. Once you have the letters spelled out, once the word is spelled out, you would ask the group or ask the kids if they recognize the letter, or excuse me, if they recognize the word, and then ask them to say the word. You may have kids that cannot recognize the word. Feel free to give them clues. Okay, this is an animal that says that meows. Okay. Yes, Tyler. This looks like a good activity for younger kids. Could also be really good for gauging knowledge of specific vocabulary words for older groups. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. So yes, it can be tailored for the older groups. You can have, I don't know if people still do vocabulary words. Our kids still haven't, for some districts, our kids still doing vocabulary words. You know how back in the day we had spelling lists? And we bring home those spelling lists. I mean, that would be a good thing to do too. Help them practice their spelling words. Okay. This one is like a cut and dry activity. It could be the word dog. Well, dog. It could be a color. I mean, any word that you want to pick out. And you say the letter, have them pick the letter, they say the letter back to you. And it's just that back and forth. Any questions about this particular activity? Comments? Yes, Michael, this might also be helpful with names in certain classes such as history, possibly given a definition of the person and then what it starts with. Yes. So yes. Now that you mentioned that, kind of brought an idea to my mind. So like if you're working with 11th and 12th graders and they have vocabulary that they have to study or that they're doing for history class or science, science class, you can do this activity as well. Okay. All right. Gonna continue to move on. There's no questions or comments. All right, now it's gonna be your turn. So, taking the two activities that we just did with the bananagrams and the letter tiles, we're gonna put you in groups and your group is going to choose 2 grade levels that you're gonna focus on. So you're gonna focus on 2 grade levels. So the grade levels are elementary. I have K2, 3, 5. So you have lower and upper elementary. There's middle school, 6 through 8. And then high school, I also divided that 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. So when you get in your group, you're going to choose 2 grade levels to focus on. You are going to create an activity using the bananagrams and letter tiles for each of those groups. So you're going to tell me what the activity is, the grade level that you focused on, and then give me the directions on how to do that activity. This does not have to be something that has to be written out. It could be in bullet form as well. Okay. Everybody understand what is being asked of them? Any questions that I need to address?
So Teresa, it looks like we'll have 5 different breakout rooms. I'm gonna just randomly put people into those rooms.
Okay.
So that'll be coming. Teresa, how long would you like them to have for this activity?
15 minutes. That way they're able to talk it through. 15 minutes.
So folks, I'll put you into your rooms and then I'll give you like a 5-minute warning. And then of course the room itself will give you, I can't remember if it's 90 seconds or a minute, but it'll give you the warning that it'll be coming back to the main room then. If at any time you need help, be sure to raise that, use that option to invite the host in. I'm gonna remain in the main room and Teresa's gonna probably be hopping in and out of rooms like she's done in the past. So let's go ahead and get going with this. Okay. Jerry and Katie, if you're able to unmute, and let me know if you're having trouble. If not, there should be an option to join that room. Okay, Katie, are you able to unmute and talk to me? All right. And I have now resumed recording as people are coming back in.
All right. Welcome back. Those that are coming back.
Aw, that wasn't any fun. You guys just drew back in. See you Madison. Oh,
Was you having too much fun, Billy?
yeah. You guys are cool. This is the best group. I'll go on mute my mic.
No problem. All right, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. We're gonna just take a couple of minutes. Anybody want to share out from their group, just a couple of things that an activity that they came up with, the group that it focuses on, and just quickly go through the directions or just kind of describe what the activity is. Anybody care to do that? I see Michael, yes.
Yeah, so we had high schoolers, so we thought maybe possibly giving them like 6 or so bananagrams of just letters and then having them match or create as many elements as possible with those letters. So kind of just recognizing different elements and their symbols. And then a middle school activity would be having them have some letters and then try to create a verb or a noun or an adjective with those letters to kind of just work on them understanding the differences between those two and creating new words.
Nice, yes. Anybody else want to share with their group?
And go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. Brenda.
We did 2 of them, obviously. One was theme spelling, worked mostly with like first and second graders, with letter titles or bananagrams, just letters for them, and give them a word and then use with like the ing, the ed, use root words with them, focus on like the silent E, and just those activities and incorporating different types of like the theme spelling for them. The other one was focused on elementary school because our group was all elementary. So our main focus was that with bananagrams again, or the letter titles, first through third, showing them a word written out on a board or something, and then having them find those letters within the pile and recreate that word. With the older kids, we would say the word out loud and then have them have to spell it in their head while trying to find the letters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice ones, nice activities. Anybody else want to share from their group? Go ahead, Cora.
Our group talked about adding competition into it. We are middle school, high school area, so having the competition for them helps them stay interactive and more enjoyable for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. Anybody else want to share? Very nice activities. When I was popping into the groups, very nice conversations. The activities were awesome. Were awesome. Like I said, you could take this and you can go multiple ways with it. Probably even when you start doing those activities, you're like, oh, hey, there's some more activities. Oh yeah, here's some more. And everybody's gonna probably go like, really? Do we really? I do this activity with I do Girl Scouts on the side, and I also do some of these activities with my Girl Scouts. They like doing it. They like the interaction. They are competitive as well, which I was kind of shocked with this group that I have. But yeah, it's really good to get them going. And like I said, another part of literacy that we don't talk about, that we don't see. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share here my screen. Okay. This next slide is geared towards my older folks that work with those older kids, middle school, high schoolers. You can also do this with your 4th and 5th graders as well. We were talking about competition. I know some of you already do the Kahoot. You're familiar what Kahoot is. It's an interactive page where you have trivia games, sports, music, geography. I'm also going to introduce you to some people, because there may be some people who already know this, but Sporkle.com is another interactive trivia game. And I'm actually going to click, see if I can. Do a new share. I'm learning here. Okay. Hopefully you can see that screen. This is Sporkle.com. They have where you can get on there and you can do, there's different categories that you can use. You can either have the kids go in and choose the activity, or you can do the activity as well. The one that I have in front of us is basically what it is. It is Disney characters. Can you match the Disney characters to their silhouette? So you can actually do this with your younger kids. If you're trying to incorporate technology into your classrooms, you can do this as well. You can put it on the focus machine, or you can put it on your TV through the computer, and you can do this as well. So what this is on this web page, excuse me. So you'll have an activity, and then you'll have a timer. So you'll have to come up with the answers within this time frame. So as I said, this one is Disney characters by their silhouette. And you just hit the play button, and now I got to do whatever it's asking me to do. And again, you have a time frame. Very competitive. It's very addicting as well. I get on this and sometimes I can't get off. But this is another web page that you can do. It's called sporkle.com. And then the other one, this is an activity that I got from a teacher. Every now and then I take classes at Heartland AEA for my teaching license. And this teacher shared this. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the comments. Yes, Michael, this might be also helpful with names in certain classes. Oh, Crystal says, yes, she loves Sporkle. And then she has dropped the link in the comment box, in the chat box. Okay. But here's another one that you can do. These are just trivia or facts. So you could do a top 10 of general information. So you would actually post this on the board or whatever space that you have. And you can do top 10 most popular ice cream flavors. And you can have the kids put in, see if they can guess the top 10. Okay. And then, of course, you would do the answer, go through the answers with them. Another one that you can do is like name 10 movies Tom Hanks has acted in, or I put Denzel Washington has acted in, and see if they can come up with that list of 10 movies. You can also share out, facts about some of the movies that they've starred in. So just allowing for that conversation piece. Again, as we said, with literacy, it's just not about reading. It's also not about writing. We're talking about having that discussion, that comprehension. So this just allows for those kiddos to have pieces of info or topics that they can have discussion with. Again, this would be middle school, high schoolers. You can do this with 4th and 5th graders as well. You just kind of have to tweak it. Okay. Any questions in regards to this whole session? Any comments in regards to this whole session? Feel free to say your name and share, or you can share in the chat box. Any questions? Thank you, Brickley. I enjoy finding out more virtual activities to do with students. Yes. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Again, here's my contact information as well as Crystal's contact information. Feel free to reach out if you need anything between now and our next session. Our next session is not going to be until the end of January. So there's a good 4 weeks of time in between. I will be reaching out during that time to the contact person just to do a check-in, see how sites are doing, see how everybody's going. Oh, did I do? I'm sorry, Crystal. I put the .org in there. It's .com.
Yeah, it happens. So Teresa, I know you're
yes.
kind of wrapping up here. I did want to say that I have sent out all of the calendar invites for the rest of these sessions. So you should have received those in your email box. Because I don't have everybody's individual email, I've sent them to your primary contact. So if you did not get those, you just might want to touch base with them. Maybe they're sending them 1 month at a time or something to that effect, but just know that those have been sent to the main contact, because again, our next session is not until January 28th, I think. So.
Again, and feel free between that time, or not before that time, excuse me, to reach out if you have any questions. Hey, we are looking to do this activity. We're looking for some guidance. Feel free to do that as well. Again, as I said before, I will be touching bases with everybody after the winter break. It will be actually about the week of January 4th to January 11th. Around about that time, I'll start reaching out. Other than that, if there's no questions or comments, everybody have a great holiday and see you in the new year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
stop recording.